my coach is giving me this speech because he understands this kid has never played organized football, but he got talent. Be relentless. Refuse to be denied. Force your will, and don't you back down, and don't you quit. And honestly, going through all that for all the years I was going through that, I can honestly say that's what saved my life.
Welcome to Winning the Divine Lottery. I'm your host, Amy Dawes. Hey, Ventson. It's awesome seeing you here today. I love um your logo behind you. It's very eye-catching.
Thank you. Yeah, I just got that added the other day through Wall Drop, actually.
Wall drop. Oh, I haven't heard of wall drop yet. What is that exactly?
I basically what you see is what
What?
they do.
Yeah, right
And they,
on.
yeah, they basically have different templates for a person to choose from. And actually, I came across the advertisement, seeing it, and I thought it was something I would like to add. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm glad you like it.
I do. I'm thinking I need to do something with this behind me.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good.
So we've known each other actually for quite a while. I think it started on Facebook. Years ago, you bought a painting from me, and we've
Yes.
kind of connected off and on since then. And I was going to have you on my podcast. When was it? Last year sometime, and we had to reschedule. So it's so great that everything just always falls in line. And here you are now. And I know we did talk on the phone, and your story blew me away, first of all. And I know that you have so much to share today, and I can't wait for the person listening to this to just be able to really hear your story and what you've overcome in your life. So, why don't we start with your football career? Because being in Regina, everybody can relate to football because we're the home of the Roughriders. So, why don't you share a bit about that story?
For sure. Well, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I started playing football at Henry Ford High School. I played in high school for 3 years, earned a scholarship to Michigan State University, played there. 1990, I was drafted by the New England Patriots. Played there for a year. Following year, I became a free agent, went to the Green Bay Packers. Got released there. That was my first shot at failure in
Hmm.
football, where things actually didn't work out. I actually, on the way home, I was probably about 5 hours away from home. I cried all the way there. I didn't truly know how to process failure. Got home within a day or so. I got a call from Al Ford. He was the Saskatchewan Roughrider general manager, and asked if I was interested in coming up. And I definitely took advantage of the opportunity. So I came up.
How old were you when you cried about the first experience with failure?
I was 22 years old.
Yeah,
22. So yeah,
yeah.
a
I
young
think
man.
that's something, I have a 17-year-old son, so I think that's just something men go through, but also women too, that we do have to experience disappointment and setback and what we call failure in order to even know how to move through that and respond and build this like emotional resilience and maturity.
Exactly. I 100% agree. The lessons that I learned through my failures, it's been quite beneficial. A lot of times, excuse me, when we do fail, we look at it in a negative way, but there's definitely blessings within those things that do not work out for us. We just gotta look for them and continue to have a positive attitude.
Yeah, 100%. So what year was it and how old were you when you started with the Rough Riders? Was it 22?
I would have been, yes, I would have been 22 years old.
Okay.
I came in 19, actually, I've been 23. I came at the end of the year in 1991. They were already through over half of their season, so I came up towards the end and played in a few games. Then the following year, I came back to Saskatchewan, and then I became a starter.
Wow. So take us through your journey as a Rough Rider.
My journey as a Rough Rider, I think it was a roller coaster ride, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
I went through. what in a 9.5 year span, I went through five head coaches,
Wow.
right? And I would say my first 6 years, I was very, very good at what I did. I had respect for the players and GMs throughout the league. Actually played defensive back. And never made was an all-star, but I had all-star play at that given time. The position I played is defensive back, and at that given time, defensive backs didn't get the credit they deserve at that time when the ball is not being thrown your way. Mostly it's just off of numbers in regard to who got the most interceptions. Usually those guys make the all-star team, but if you don't get the ball thrown at you, how can you get interceptions? So I didn't get a lot of balls thrown at me, so it became challenging to try to get the interceptions. My career actually in '97, I blew my knee out, and that was kind of like the beginning of the end because things just started to kind of spiral when it came to my health in football. Actually, in '97, I tore my abdominal muscle, came back from that. We ended up going to the Grey Cup that year. In the game before the Grey Cup, I actually blew my knee out. So I wasn't
Wow.
able to got to the prize and wasn't able to actually take advantage of that opportunity due to the fact that I blew my knee out.
What was that like? Because I know there are so many people listening right now who have experienced something where they're almost exactly where they want to be, and then life comes and happens, and you can't do the thing that you had your heart set on doing.
Yeah, that was devastating. Actually, it's
Yeah.
actually kind of taking me back. I remember being there actually, and actually it was pretty damn cold that day. I think that was one of the coldest Grey Cups ever. And the Grey Cup at that time was in Edmonton. In there, we lost the game. I remember being at the end of the game, just being I was still on crutches at the time, just being on my crutches and just kind of looking around and just trying to take everything in due to the fact that you never know if you're ever going to get that opportunity again. And sure enough, I never got the opportunity again.
Man. So why don't we go a little deeper into that? You never got that opportunity again, and how were you truly through that season in your life?
Uh, I guess during that time, I guess things were quite challenging. I guess you could say from a mental perspective. Because after blowing my knee out, I came back the following year and we thought my knee was ready. And come to training camp, my knee wasn't ready. So I had to miss a whole another half a year, excuse me, to get my knee properly prepared. And ended up coming back, finally playing at the end of what would have been '98. And going into '99, I actually broke my thumb the very first game of the year, so I
Oh,
missed a whole
wow.
another half of a year, right? And yeah, things were it was quite interesting. And then we head to 2000. We got a new administration, new head coach. I'm excited. So I don't know what, because the last few years been injury riddled now. Danny Barrett's here, Roy Shivers here, and great men. And I definitely want to be a part of what they were doing. And we go into, I believe it might have been the third game of the year playing against Montreal. And that's when things truly that's when my life truly took a change due to the fact I was hit in the face with a penalty flag that had washers in it. And those type of things have been banned. And so I'm sure I had a mild concussion. Stayed in the game, continued to play, and I ended up having a head-to-head collision with one of their players on their team, and subsequently that hit ended my career. I ended up with a hematoma on my brain.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, life. Yeah,
Life
the
really
life.
hit you hard, like one after
Yeah,
the other.
yeah,
Okay,
life as I. Yeah, life as
yeah,
I knew it changed forever.
yeah. I just want to take a moment because I know, I always think there's more than one pe person listening, but there's really only one person listening at the time at a time, right?
Mhm.
And this person has had moments, not the same story, but has had moments where it was just one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. And you almost get to this place of like helplessness and defeat, and you don't know what the F is going on. And you're trying to like figure out your life. And you think your life was going in one awesome direction, then all of a sudden it's like I've been there. I felt like I've been like dropped in the middle of a barren desert, and I'm like, now what? Like, now what? Directionless. How did you navigate that? How did that impact your mental health, your physical health, your relationships?
Look, actually, that was just the beginning. Um, Actually, that was quite tough for me to navigate. That period of my life was one of the most challenging things I have ever been through because of the fact that, the brain injury I had, I was always waiting for the old Ventson Donelson to come back, not understanding the old Ventson Donelson, that dude he's dead and gone and he's not coming back. And this set of new personality or set of things I have within my brain, I didn't quite know how to navigate myself. So I went through depression, and two, I had to retire, from football. And that moment, I remember sitting in the training room with our trainer Ivan Guffrin, and he just checking me out, taking me through concussion protocol or whatnot. And I was just sitting there thinking, I go, Ivan, what do you think? Do you think it's time? Because again, my last 4 years of football, it's just been pain riddled and taking pills and this and that. I go, do you think it's time, man? And yeah, he looked at me and he goes, V, you know what? I think it's time. And there's nothing like losing someone you love or losing something you love that you're never going to get back. And saying goodbye to football as a player, was quite challenging. And lucky for me, I guess, there were other things that I wanted to do after football. But again, with my situation, with my hematoma on my brain, I didn't. It took me quite a few years to kind of figure those different things out.
Yeah, my heart just goes out to you and what you've had to go through. And I know in the end it was worth it, and we'll get to there in a second. Because those difficult moments where like identity loss is a real thing.
Without a
And
doubt.
it's a real thing. And I've been through it. And I know other people have been through it. And we have to like give ourselves permission to grieve that identity that we've known for so long. Like that's who we know ourselves to be. And that comes with like a whole package. And that can include like football, like you said, a career. It can include certain people. Like there's so many different elements to it. And also how it makes us feel, right?
Mhm.
So I totally could see myself in you when you were saying that I had to completely let go of I love that people call you V. I was wondering if people call you V because I was going to call you V. V dog. I don't know where that's coming
Exactly.
from. But that you had to completely let go of him and alchemate to this new you who you had no idea really truly who he was. So it was like you were starting over, like from scratch, a blank
Yeah,
canvas, which you can look at as possibility, but when you're in it, you're not seeing it that way.
exactly. And even with that, came with came with a bunch of challenges and circumstances I had to go through. Excuse me, the company I was currently decided to work for. I was working on a 50% pay cut from my current from playing football, so my football salary. But me, I'm thinking, I'm Vincent Downs, I fear nothing. I'm not concerned. I know I can make it happen. But in the end, I worked for those guys for for almost a year and a half. And within the eight months of working for them, they dropped the ball on my immigration papers. So,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, I was forced to leave the country for 3 months with my
Wow.
wife pregnant. I'm on a 50% pay cut. And their answer to that was, well, we'll give you a nice service package, take care of you, blah, blah, blah. And me, I was kind of forward thinking because this was later in the day after I talked to my boss earlier in the day, and later in the day say, later in the evening say, will call me back. So I knew they were going to call. So I'm thinking, I can't, I can't just walk away. And this particular company, I was working at Labor Ready at the time. They had branches throughout the whole world. So my thing was, I go, well, I gotta leave the country. I gotta be able to do something. So I go, well, how about you just transfer me to a branch in Detroit? I'll work my 90 days there, then I'll come back. They go, oh, wow, we didn't think of that, right? And now I'm thinking, I don't even want to work for you guys, but I'm forced to do so because of my situation. You just threw me aside. So now I'm dealing with that as well. And I come back and you know, I get home. It was good to be able to come home and be with my family. When I get home, I see my dad, and I can see that. I can see my dad. I can see that he's not well. You know, on top of all the other things I got on, being kicked out the country, mental issues, the whole 9 yards, and I was able, you know, to get through those 90 days and get back to Canada. But now when I get back, I'm at a point where I'm working for people I don't want to work for because at first instance they threw me aside.
Hmm.
So my situation was at that time I had to work for them for 90 days before I can, you know, move on to another company. I didn't make it. I wrote a resignation letter within the first 2 weeks. Told my wife about it. She goes, Vincent, take your ass to the doctor. I go to the doctor. He goes, sure enough, no, Vincent, you can't make that decision at this time. You in a state of depression, and we just can't allow that. Let my boss know, did a revoke to my intent to resign. They put me on sick leave, so they said. And I come in that Friday, get my reimbursement check from being a manager of the branch, usually out of pocket a little bit. And my boss is on the phone. He tells me, Vincent, we're accepting your resignation letter. We're not putting you on sick leave. So I basically indirectly fired while I was on sick leave. And top of all those other things, and I didn't have my work visa at the time. So now I can't do nothing. Now I'm in a situation where I'm writing letters to immigration. I'm in a state of emergency, and yeah, it was a time, but lucky enough, I was able to get a company to believe in me. That was Zep Manufacturing at that time, and they gave me an opportunity. But now I'm at the point now mentally. I don't know if I'm coming and going. I got into doing coke and doing drugs, and that's something that I had never done before. And two, I don't even know who the heck this guy is that I'm trying to navigate. I'm still trying to
Yeah.
figure out who am I because the old Vincent is gone. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was challenging. It was challenging, and even going through that, once I got a little bit better, and luckily for me, I had a unique mindset in the aspect. I'm lucky when I was in high school. I had a coach by the name of Joe Hoskins, and he instilled something in saved my life. What he did, the second game of the year, I'd never played organized football before. And second game of the year, my 10th grade year, I had to start because the starter was hurt. And we were going to play against this team by the name of Cooley High. And they had this receiver called Dino Dawson. He was one of the best in the country. And my coach is giving me this speech because he understands this kid has never played organized football, but he got talent. He goes, Bolo, goddammit. That's my nickname back home. Bolo.
Bolo?
Bolo. And he goes, God damn it, you be relentless. Refuse to be denied. Force your will. And don't you back down. And don't you quit. And honestly, going through all that for all the years I was going through that, I can honestly say that's what saved my life. And because at that point, when I'm going through all those different things at that time, and even, going through all that, my dad died, the company that had released me, they had me falsely arrested on top of that. So it was just like you said, it was just one thing after another. I didn't have time to get better from one thing. I
Yeah.
just had to process and find a way to keep and have time to, think about anything. It's like we just got to be relentless. We got to put our foot down and just keep going forward. And I ended up opening up a consulting company. Came across this opportunity with this company called IFFL, and they had a program that was based off the Economic Recovery Act, tax code 616A, and basically kind of talked about uh, investing in gold mines in the States. And if you invest in gold mines to develop it, they get your tax dollars back. And I'm thinking, oh God, this is why I went through this. I'm thinking like, oh, they just don't know who I know. I know all these $1 million football players. And the thing was, the government, if you incurred the debt of, say, $1 million for the development to a mine that had produced gold before, what the government would do is actually give you your tax dollars back. So $1 million, you probably paid 350 to 400,000 taxes. They would give you that money back, and it has to go into this development. I'm thinking, this is why I went through all this. This is why I went through all this. I had worked my business for 2.5 years, and I had $3.4 million on the book waiting to come back from the government. So these guys, so I can get paid, and these guys are being to the investment. This was tax law, everything above board. Come to find out, the company behind everything, they were fraudulent.
Oh
I lost
man.
everything. I lost everything. And what a humbling experience. I remember my first brand new car was a Mustang. Then I bought a BMW. Then an Infinity truck. And at that time, I had a Mercedes. And they called me about it. I go, "You can come get it. The keys on the floor mat." I went out and bought, and this would have been probably 2007. I went out and bought 2007. Yep. I went out and bought a Ford Escort, 1988 Ford Escort. Hooped the beat the hell up for $365. Didn't give a damn what anybody thought about me. It was time for me to humble myself. I humbled myself, got back to the grind. I I built houses during the day. I worked at Dojack at night, and I bartended on the weekends. Just, trying to grind and put my life back together. And uh, through all that, I was able to actually refine my passion uh, with uh, with speaking, because when I played for the Roughriders, we had a program called Team Health, and we would go around the schools talking to students about the importance of education and the dangerous cigarette smoking. And I knew from the very first time I did my first presentation that I had a natural gift.
Mm.
And I, through all those injuries and all the different things I went through, I totally had forgot about that. But at this time, I always told myself, if things get tight, I can always go work at the jail because I majored in criminal justice in college. And sure enough, I go to the jail, get the job. And within a year and a half, I ended up getting a job as the employment coordinator. And what's so crazy about that? All their jobs are based on seniority, right? I only had maybe 3 years in total from the two different from Dojack to there because it's the same thing, corrections. And I applied for the job thinking I'll never get it because of the fact I don't have a lot of seniority. And sure enough, I got the job. Two people applied, and the other guy didn't show up for his interview, and I got the job.
Wow.
So when I got that job, now I'm thinking, how can I help these inmates? And The program was set up for us to help them get employment ready, get them safety tickets, and you know, help them do resumes and cover letters, that kind of thing. But I'm thinking that's not what they need. And I go into this course. The first thing we do, we always listen to motivational videos. Les Brown and Eric Thomas.
Mhm.
We were all healing at the same time. And luckily for me, I got a captive audience 5 days a week where I get to do my craft. We'll watch some videos. I'll get up. We'll talk about it. I will share some of my personal stories. And sure enough, that program was a success for me and for those guys. I was able to do some things at the correctional center excuse me, that had never been done before. And that's what actually got me on the path of healing and embracing this new person that I was. And also, I got into the law of attraction because through my struggle, I was listening. I was mad at God, to be honest. I was totally mad at God. And I started looking at some other things, and the law of attraction came about. I was listening to uh, what's her name? Esther Hicks, I believe her name is Esther Hicks, and she was talking about the law of attraction and some other things. I remember this one CD. These was on CDs at the time, and this one CD I was listening to, and this is one of the things that helped change my life. She goes, "What you think about has an effect on how you feel, and how you feel has an effect on how you act, and how you act." What you think about has an effect on how you feel, and how you feel has an effect on how you act, and how you act and the choices you make determines your destiny.
Yeah.
And that resonated with me so much in the aspect of you can't get stuck thinking about what you going through or what you've been through. You gotta get stuck. You gotta look at what it is you want and put your energy towards that, because where focus goes, energy flows. And that was the one of the most remarkable things that helped change my life is me learning how to shift my focus.
Yeah. Okay, that was so much. And I just want to say to compartmentalize it and put it like in a tangible thing that people can chew. But from the time you had your brain injury and went through everything that you shared, your dad dying, all the job stuff, the having to leave the country, and there was just so much there. The depression, the cocaine, the drugs, all of that. How many years was that period of your life until you finally came to this place of starting to understand and have your passion reunited when you worked in the with the inmates in the prisons?
9, 10 years.
Okay, this is so important. I really want to take a moment. First of all, to acknowledge your vulnerability, Venston. You know this is going to help so many people. But to be able to still be here sharing your story after a 19-year stretch.
It's 9, 9, 10 years.
19, I said 19.
No, 10 to 9 years. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
said
10 to 9 years.
10 to 9.
Still,
I'm sorry.
still, that's like a decade. That's a decade.
Yeah.
And I know there's other people who are going to listen to this who it's been that long and maybe even longer. And I think this gives people hope that there's still something that is guiding us. We might not be able to see it or hear it, but there's something so intelligent overlooking our lives and knows that there's more for us and that we are here for a purpose. And it
Right.
might not be what we originally thought it was, but everything that we go through is to literally shape who we're going to be when we bring ourselves out into the world. And like literally, I love that it brought you all the way to Law of Attraction. I know Esther Hicks, I listen to her a lot, and I really value what she shares too. And what I would love to ask you though is just something simple that you could give the person listening to this right now who knows and has heard you and knows that, our thoughts create our feelings create our actions, and the actions that we take shape our destiny, and that it's all about focus. What's something simple and tangible that they could do right now to start shifting their focus from how they have thought their whole entire lives to something that's actually going to move them towards a life that they want to really live?
I would say understanding what your why is, because your why is what's going to create your motivation. And two, I was lucky enough in 2006, while I was still going through all that, my oldest son started playing football.
Mm,
And with him playing football, obviously I'm going to coach. And that was another pivotal moment in my healing, was me starting to coach, because now I had a sense of responsibility. And me coaching was actually my medicine. It was the medicine I needed. And even to this day, me when I coach, that's my medicine. When I work with people, that's medicine for me. And that was another pivotal thing that actually helped change that's my why, right? I want to have influence on others. I live to serve.
mm. That's beautiful. How does somebody find their why?
Well, want to find their why is something. I do something called behavior analysis. I use assessment tools that will give you insight into who you are and actually outline actually what your why is. It'll
Beautiful.
help you narrow that thing down to, what is your superpower, and
Mm.
take advantage of your superpower, because that would be your why.
Yeah, and I do believe we all have a superpower. I might call that our essence, our being, like the one thing that makes us shine and radiate the most. Um, Talk a little bit more about behavior analysis, because I know you mentioned that that came into your life during COVID, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, during COVID, I was struggling quite a bit, because with the way everything was shut down and we all being isolated, that was quite challenging for me, especially I'm a people person. I need to be around. I want to be around people. I want to have influence on people, and I was struggling with my business, so I took this course called Extreme Execution. That is that was through Air Thomas, and they had a assessment called DISC at the time, and it's now called Flight Assessment. And I took the assessment. When I got the results back, I was blown away at the accuracy of the assessment. And my first thought was, if I took something like this, excuse me, while I was in high school, college, or even as a professional, a lot of things would have been different for me, because as a person, I never really knew how to pivot or how to deal with certain type of personalities. And what this does is it lays out four different behavioral models, and we all have these behaviors, but we all have these behaviors at different degrees. And based on those different degrees comes with a certain set of characteristics
Mm.
that you would have. And what happens is, a lot of time people say that notion, well, this is just the way I am, kind of thing. But what we have to do is, in certain situations, for you to get the outcomes you want to receive, we have to learn to adapt, because every situation isn't going to fit your behavioral style, right?
Mm.
So if you don't understand your behavioral style, your self-awareness of yourself and of others, then there'll be a lot of things that you'll definitely miss out on. And I was reading something the other day from the Harvard Business Institute, I think it was. They said that 85 to 90% of people don't have self-awareness. They
Still?
do, but they don't.
Wow. I
Because
see, I'm thinking, wow, we've come a long way in the last couple of decades around self-awareness, that I wonder what we were at like 20 years ago, because I know more and more and more people are becoming self-aware and wanting to understand their behaviors and how they operate and the belief systems and everything. That's a
but
wild percentage still,
it's very
hey?
Because when you think about self-awareness, right, you think about yourself, but there's also a thing within self-awareness called external awareness
Hmm.
when you need to be aware of all the other things that's outside of you,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of us we don't have both.
Mm, I love that. That also makes me not question, but I'm very curious now because when you say that, I think about how like I study Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and he
Mhm.
talks about how, we have to actually change our personality in order to change our reality. And that is an inside job, right? And that we're not really, even when we're looking at our external environment, we're not seeing the whole picture because our brain can actually only see like
Mhm.
0.01% of it.
Exactly.
So that makes me curious about what you're saying and that. So is what we're even, I don't know if you can answer this, but my question that's actually coming up now is,
Mhm.
can we actually truly become aware of our environment, or we're just becoming aware of it through the lens of our own self-awareness that we have right now?
I would say we can become aware of our environment due to the fact that everybody's different,
Hmm.
right? And the assessment itself was built off of the five human needs,
I know what
right?
those are.
Exactly. And based on the human needs, everybody human need is different based on their experience, their reality model, the different things they went through, right?
Hmm.
And with that being said, some of the things we come up short on, right?
Hmm.
And those things we come up short on, those are the things that we need to work on and learn to adapt,
I
to have a
understand.
better way of dealing with whatever those situations are is. And what happens is, say for instance, you work in a job and you work in a job that don't fit your behavior style. Eventually, you're going to quit due to the
Yeah.
fact that it's an overextension of who you actually are, and it's an overextension of your behavioral needs.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see how that could help a lot of people. And I
Exactly.
mean, that's how life becomes a little bit more manageable is when we can adjust to different circumstances and
Is
situations because we don't really have control over them. We only ever have control over us. So
exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
So where are you today, would you say? Because I know you run a coaching business called True Potential, and you still coach football. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Where's your heart at right now? Where's your mind at right now? How is your brain injury? Did that fully heal? I'm very curious. And who are you being as a service creator in the world?
So, in regard to my brain injury, uh, that didn't heal, right? I still navigate a few challenges from my brain injury. Uh, where I'm at now in regard to business, like I do I do what's called true potential coaching and consulting for sports teams and also for corporate. Though and public speaking, those are the things I truly love because it allows me again to have impact on people. I want to have impact and I want to be a person of service
Mhm.
to people. And those different things that I do allow me to do that and live my dream.
I love that. And where's your heart at right now?
My heart right now is trying to light a fire in everybody that I possibly can. It's no matter, what you go through, uh, it's all about making, a good decision to press forward and to be relentless, in your pursuit of happiness. Because eventually, if you're relentless, you're going to get there. It might take a while, but
Yeah.
you will achieve your goal. The one thing we can't do is
Yeah.
quit.
That's right. The one thing we can't do is quit. Such a simple statement, but so true.
And two, I'm just understanding that it don't matter what happens to you. 'Cause
Mhm.
look at all the different things I went through. It's all about how you respond. That's the only choice you have
Yeah.
is how you're going to respond. and we have total control of that.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you there. And life's going to keep happening and challenges are
Life
going to
don't
keep
stop.
showing up. New levels, new devils, right? Are we allowed to
Exactly.
share what we're
I
co-creating
love
together?
that.
Are we allowed to share what we're co-creating together? Because I feel like
Yes,
this
we
is a
are.
great time to like put a plug in because I'm so
Exactly.
on fire right now this week because this is just all unfolding. It's incredible. So I'll
Exactly.
share. I had an intuitive nudge and I do try to commit to listening to those as much as possible. It's never logical, but it also always leads me somewhere. And so I'm also wanting to speak more in public and on stages and such. And I had an intuitive nudge to reach out to you because I know you've spoken at events before. And that led us to having a Zoom call because you had this idea to create an event and we've already booked the date. Yeah,
April
my time
12th.
to rise summit. I mean, come on.
Exactly. I'm so excited. I am so excited. And I'm so happy that, over the years we've been able to stay in contact. And now it's really starting to show why,
Why? Yeah.
right? And those, like they say, those things are alike. They're attracted to each other. And it's the same thing with the other co-speaker, with
Mhm.
Chantel Miller. I met her what about around the same time, actually around the same time I met you, and just kind of stayed in contact. We always said we want to do something together, and lo and behold, boom, it's
Yeah.
happening right now.
Just like that. Yeah,
Just
it's
like
so
that. Made a
exciting. And I
decision.
haven't met her yet, and the three of us already are vibing so high together. So I just know that that's divinely orchestrated, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
love it. So I'm just gonna say again, April 12th in Regina, Saskatchewan. It's gonna be like a day event. We're all gonna be there speaking and sharing our beingness and our essence and our story and inspiring you to change and inspiring you to rise. Because I really
All right.
feel like on a collective level, it really truly is our time to rise.
Time to rise, baby. It's time to rise.
Woohoo!
If you're
Okay,
not rising, you're sinking or you're staying the same.
I love that. Oh, I'm already getting chills about it. Okay, so I have a few closing questions for you. If you had to like tagline or put on like a huge billboard downtown Regina, this next era that you're stepping into, what would that be?
What would that be? That is a good question. That is a good question. What would that billboard be? It would have to be relentless.
The
If
relentless
you
era.
deny, force your will, don't you back down, and don't you quit.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you had that angel in high school to speak those words to you. Like God
True
knew that
angel.
you would, yeah, God knew that you would need that throughout
That's
your
all I
life.
had. To be honest, that's all I had,
Yeah. Wow.
along with
Okay.
along with God. But
Yeah.
that's all I had.
When you hear winning the divine lottery, what comes up for you in your heart? What do you think that means for you?
When I hear winning the divine lottery, what comes up for me is happiness.
Mm,
Just happiness, being just happiness, right? That's what I find divine is happiness.
I love it. And what gives you the most happiness? How do you create that for yourself?
What gives me the most happiness is, again, being able to have an effect on people,
Hmm.
putting myself in situations so that I can be an inspiration to people and be a service of people.
Yeah. And you don't even need to say that, like that just shines through in how you share your story. So I hope
Appreciate
that gets
that.
reflected back to you over and over and over again. If you had one, two, or three sentences to leave who's listening today, what would that be?
Uh, two, three sentences. I would say, make sure you find your why, because your why is always going to lead to your motivation. Your motivation is going to lead to your commitment. Your commitment is going to lead to your consistency. Your
Mm,
consistency is going to lead to your focus. Your focus will lead you to your things you have to sacrifice. And once you start sacrificing, now you have your accountability. And with your accountability, you're now going to create your faith. And putting all those different things together, all those different things, it's not some tangible you can go by. You can't go by focus. You can't go by commitment, right?
Yeah.
You can't go by consistency. All these different things, they are
Mhm.
mindset.
Yeah. I love that. I wish I was taking notes right now, but I'll write them down when I edit this episode. And if you don't know your why and you need help with your why, reach out to Venston. Do you work with people all over the world?
Hey,
Yeah.
all over the world, internet works.
Yeah,
Internet
it
works.
does. I mean, isn't it great?
Yeah, it's very important for a person to find their why. Because if you're looking for your happiness, if you're not in your why, you're missing out on a big part of your life,
Hmm. And I
huge
think
part of your life.
Yeah, and I think it keeps you anchored on your path, like to your true north. And, when you talked about sacrifice, for me, the way I see that, and I've come to learn as I've matured in my life, is sacrifice is actually just whatever tries to distract you away from your true purpose and why you're here. And once you know that, you can become very indifferent to those things and you can stay on track more and more and more. But I love
Exactly.
that you said that you can't buy your focus. And I was like, well, only through an iPhone or a camera. Like, but
Exactly.
it's true. These things have to be exercised just like our muscles. So,
Exactly. And the thing is, I left one out after sacrifice is discipline. Like,
mhm.
because if you're sacrificing, that means you're creating a discipline for yourself. And that's probably one of the most important ones, right? So
Yeah,
we got to insert discipline upon the sacrifice.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it's been amazing having you here. I'm glad it all lined up like this for us.
It's over?
Yeah, it's over. We'll have to have you back.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity, Amy. Your inspiration. I remember the very first time I met you and I came to get the painting from you. I felt something I never felt before and I couldn't quite put my hand on, but I know now. Like the energy that you give is off the freaking chart. It was hard for me to process. I even know what I was feeling at that time, but it was actually your energy, and you have a very strong presence, and you're a gift from God, and continue to do what you're doing.
Wow. Thank you. I will fully take that in and receive it. That's an important, just thank you for the acknowledgement as well. That means a lot. Thanks so much for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend.